everybody. Welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 252. Aaron, we are back from the whole draft festivities that they had there. It's been a while since we did that show. We're back here. Once again, if you guys don't know, there's a subscribe button somewhere down there. Tap that if you haven't already, because we didn't even know when we were going to be going live. This is not our usual date. It is the usual time. But yes. Saturday's kind of a weird one for us.
Yeah, a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Sundays are usually better, but, Mondays are best. Whatever. We're here.
Mondays are usually worst, and we try to make it better for them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, okay. It's better to end your day with us than to start it.
I think start or end the day. As long as it's with us, you're good to go. Hit the button, hit the bell. You know when we're going live, and you'll be a part of this show, this live show that we're doing right now. In fact, do us a favor if you could. Share this out to your Sharks friends and family. Let them know that we are live. Do appreciate more people on that chat. We have a lot of conversation going back and forth. It's a lot more fun for you, a lot more fun for us, and it's just more fun, period. So we have something up here. Hey, fellas. How are you? Oh, he just took it off the screen. Thanks anyway. Go ahead and read that out.
There you go. Hey, fellas. How are you guys? I hope summer's agreeing with you and you are enjoying some quality time with your families. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks, Peter St. John. Yeah, summer's not too bad. It's camps are over, so it's a little hectic at home.
Yeah.
Because there's no camps anymore.
Okay.
But I'm leaving. I'm going to the East Coast in 2 days.
Wow.
So that's going to be our vacation.
There you go. I'm driving up north an hour for a week of camps, hockey camps for my son. Fun. So it'd be a good time.
Yeah.
Hockey all the time. Anyway, we're here to talk about the Sharks. So, we had the draft episode. If you haven't seen that one, definitely go check that out. It was a lot of fun. You can kind of stop right after the Misa thing or after the interviews if you wanted to. I think the interviews were a lot of fun. However, if you want to see me have a meltdown, wait until Eklund gets picked by the not Sharks. That was heartbreaking for me. I was really hoping and praying, especially when he was tumbling down. He got down to what, 16?
Yeah, I think he went 16th to the Islanders.
I think there could have been something there.
I think the price is too high.
Maybe.
I think the price is too high. They probably wanted to get that other first-round pick and second-round pick. I think that's a little too much for the Sharks.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Sorry.
For me, I think he's worth it. And like I said, I think you're going to get a better Victor Eklund playing on the Sharks with William than you are a Victor Eklund with anybody else. So there you go. He's going to go back and play in your garden, though, right?
Yes. So they got relegated, so he wants to help them go back up to the top division.
Now, remind me, there's the new CBA that's coming next season, something about 22-year-olds, and that is the cap. Can you remind them what that was? Do you remember?
It is at 22 years old, you lose the rights to the players that are not signed. So if they don't sign their entry-level contract, at 22 it automatically wiped, and I'm assuming they become free agents, and any team can sign them versus... Well, what happens now currently is, no, they don't go back to the draft. If they're playing overseas and they don't sign their entry-level contract, that team still holds their rights. So when they do come back to sign as a free agent, they have the first rights to say, no, we're signing you and you're being on our team.
Well, my hope is that he plays in your garden until he's 22.
And doesn't sign an entry-level contract.
Come play for the Sharks. He'd be so happy. Anyway, guys... that we want to rehash a little bit about the draft, not the whole thing, but just a couple of things. One, of course, and we'll tie this into the prospect game, I think, and make this go a little bit quicker. Michael Misa, obviously the number one forward taken out of the draft, right? Yeah. Number two overall by the San Jose Sharks. A fantastic pickup, the guy that I wanted. Now, there was a lot of chatter from the Chicago folks pretending to be Sharks fans, saying, no, we want Anton Frondell, right? No.
I don't know, man. I think, as we were at that draft, I asked Scott Hannon before we went on the air, what do you think? Who do you think they're going to take? And he was like, I don't know. I think it was after the pick already, right, when Scott came on? He was like, I think there was actually some chatter there. He doesn't know for sure, but he was like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems like it was... There was a conversation at least to have about it, and then the fact that Chicago did take Frondell, the next pick, that makes him go, okay, then they were actually, it's true. They were debating Misa or Frondell.
I don't believe it. I think the people of Chicago are deceptive, and they were able to trick Scott Hannon. Shame on you, Scott. That's my whole situation there. What a reach, though, huh? What a reach. Taking Frondell. Was it fourth?
Third.
Yeah, because he was raked fourth. and then he got taken third.
Yes.
Right? Nah, dude, what a reach. Come on, let's get out of here with that. Anyway, we had a lot of fun during that draft episode. Definitely, again, I would check that out. Now, back to Michael Misa. The reason I brought him up, prospect game, played with Chernyshov in this prospect game, and it showed that they had the chemistry that they were playing together previously.
Remind the people, who's Chernyshov?
Chernyshov, I don't remember the when he was picked. I think it was the second round, though.
Second round, first pick of the second round last year.
Yes.
So the Celebrini draft.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And what a draft. So Chernyshov playing with Misa in this prospect game. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of domination, I would say, in terms of scoring because they didn't put the puck in the net, either one of them. But you could see in the way that they were possessing the puck, the way they were finding each other, the way they were making plays with each other. Again, mind you, it's 4-on-4. There's a lot more open ice available to them, but the same could be said for everybody else. So I will say that it was awesome watching the two of them doing what they do. That chemistry that they already had built in, and they had to play against Sam Dickinson, who arguably the best prospect in the prospect game. We'll get to that why I'm doing the air quotes in just a second. But Sam Dickinson was the guy that was D'ing up against those two. And, I mean, they didn't score, so, good for Sam. But, man, how they were just controlling the puck, it was really fantastic to see that.
Yeah, that's the future is bright, right?
Absolutely.
San Jose. Now, those two might make it out of camp. We'll see how their summers go. But having both of them make it at the same time, I think, obviously would help Chernyshov and Misa. Like, just getting them up to speed, kind of, if you will. But having the kids come and play, I think they should have an all-kid line. I think it would be fantastic.
And we've seen what it can do to have the guy that you know and you like and is your buddy, and he's going with you through this whole process. Because we saw it last season with Celebrini and Smith together, right? The two of them being so buddy-buddy and having that chemistry off the ice, right? And the same thing can be said for Misa and Chernyshov, I think, because Misa even said, I love that his English has gotten better and I can actually communicate with him now. Instead of just playing hockey really well with the guy, I can actually talk to him better now. So pretty cool stuff to see there. Yeah.
Quick question here from Anthony Manzano. I think he's a little confused on the whole thing that we talked about, where the 22-year-old thing. So when players get drafted in the NHL, most of these guys are 18 years old. Not all of them, but majority are 18. They have, I think it's 3 years to sign their entry-level contract. 4 years? Roughly until they're almost 22, right? 21, 22, they have to sign an entry-level contract with their team. If they don't, this is what we're talking about, they become a free agent.
UFA,
right? Now, if that was always true. Now, if a player decides to go play overseas, it's very different. I think even if they signed an entry-level contract and then went to play overseas and didn't come back, that's kind of where I think it hangs up, where you would see older players like at 24, 25, 26, they're like, okay, now I want to come back to North America after playing in either Russia, Sweden, anywhere else. The teams would retain the rights to sign that player, and that's going away. Once 22 hits, that's gone. So I hope that clears it up a little bit.
So once they get to 22 years old, if they're not playing for that team, their rights end up going away. The team's rights to that player end up going away, and that player can sign with somebody else. Yeah, so that's why I was saying I was hoping that Eklund would stay in your garden. He's not gonna.
I don't think we'll see it very often. No. I mean, there's only one or two of these every couple of years, so it's not that huge of a deal, but maybe we'll see a little bit more uptick because players will want to come back.
I feel like it's a niche case, and if you're that good of a player in the first place, you're probably not going to be waiting until you're 22 to sign your contract anyway.
I think it's also a dig at the KHL trying to get some of those guys to come back over that went to the KHL and are kind of quote-unquote stuck in the KHL where they're like, they want to come back to the NHL, but they don't want to sign with that team that originally has the rights.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see a couple. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe we'll see a little uptick. Not a lot, but maybe 1 or 2 a year or something.
I think with the age, it would mostly affect goaltenders, to be honest with you, because those guys, it takes them a lot longer to develop, right? So when they'll end up getting past 22 by the time they're probably ready for the NHL anyway. So anyway, that's all the stuff about the CBA. I'm sure there was more stuff actually about that in the draft video that we did, or the episode that we did. So if you're interested in a little bit more detail, maybe we did kind of touch on it quite there. So check that out. In any case, the other guy, Josh Ravensbergen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Joshua. Yes. 6'5", goaltender, right-handed catch. just like Askarov. They were asked a couple of times, were you going after right-handed catch guys? You trying to corner the market here? He's like, no, it's just the fact that, look, we're drafting for best available. Yes. We're not drafting for a very specific need here, right?
Yes.
And the best available to him, and some people think was the best goalie in the draft. There was one that got taken earlier, but they like this guy more, I think.
Yeah, he's 6'5". He's a monster. Yeah. And like you said, he catches with his right hand just like Askarov. In the NHL, in hockey in general, right-handed catch goalies is kind of rare.
Very few and far between.
Yeah, and it kind of throws shooters off, right? Because shooters most likely shoot, high glove side?
Sure.
Or they know where the high glove side is, right? Now you're shooting on the blocker side when you're used to shooting on high glove side. So it just kind of reverses it and kind of makes you overthink things and I don't know. Yeah. It could be an advantage. Not necessarily, but it could be. So I remember when the Sharks would always play against the right-handed catch back in the heyday when they were, on fire and when Thornton was on the team. Yeah. And he used to be so upset because I'm like, how do you guys not remember it's a right-handed catch? Like, because he keeps shooting like it's a normal goalie and it's not, and they would always get stonewalled. So it always frustrated me to play against a right-handed shot.
Well, he looked really good at the prospect game too, I thought at least. Actually, I have to say there was another goalie. I don't remember his name, unfortunately. It was a shorter name though. And he had kind of like red on his pads. If you guys remember the name, please put it in the chat right now. He did a fantastic job, I thought, as well. So the goalie pipeline looks like it's actually doing okay right now with the guys that are going to be in the AHL as well. Now, they did say that they're looking for an AHL veteran goaltender to pair with Carrier.
Yes.
Right?
Carrier just signed, I believe, right before the draft. I think it was right around there. So he will be, looks like he's going to be the starter for the Barracuda for the foreseeable future, unless they get some other kind of higher end prospect to come in that's further along than what was his name, Ravensbergen. But I don't think that's the case. Like you said, a veteran a veteran goalie, kind of like Aaron Dell, that role that he played, where he was kind of the veteran guy for both the Barracuda and the ECHL team. He would kind of bounce around based on who's healthy and who's not.
Sure.
And who got called up to the Sharks and everything. So, they do kind of need one more goalie in that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily pipeline for someone who's going to come up to the NHL, but just to solidify that Barracuda goaltending. What's up?
A couple things. One is Zinksy saying Noah Gregor watch. Noah Gregor is he's not coming back as far as I know.
Right.
So I still have the jersey. Yes, it is signed. And for those, again, if you haven't heard the story, he was on the Sharks. He left the Sharks to Ottawa. I had this jersey that Aaron bought for me. I got it signed by him as an Ottawa Senator on my Sharks jersey, and then he played again for the Sharks. So I think I might be the only person to have a jersey signed for the Sharks, right? Where he was a Shark, I got it signed when he wasn't a Shark, and then he was a Shark again. Like it's just kind of ridiculous circumstance.
Was it Scott Hannon did that? Brad Stewart did that?
Yes.
Man, a couple other guys.
Right, it's like if Hannon played for us, then when he went to the Preds, I got a jersey signed, and then he came back to the Sharks. Like, who does that, right? So it's just really interesting circumstance. But anyway, yes, Zinksy, Noah Gregor watch. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's going to score about 9 goals or less. So that's all we have to say about Noah Gregor there. The other thing here, and I'm sure you guys be nice, okay? There's BC down here, says, go Kings go. Hey, man. Good for you. I'm happy that you're here in the chat with us. I'm happy you're watching the show. No hate whatsoever. The Kings aren't very good either, so we're just going to go from there.
I wouldn't say the Kings aren't good.
No, they're not.
I mean, everyone's better than the Sharks. The signings that they've had, kind of not good.
Okay.
They've signed a lot of older guys to these contracts and kind of anchor contracts, and not going to go well for them, I don't think. I mean, this isn't a Kings show. We don't need to get into it. But, no. They're kind of like hanging on to that slight window of playoffs, right? Because they keep losing to Edmonton in the first round, so it's fantastic to see.
Nick thinks that the Kings are going to the Cup final but losing. Anyway, BC, you're more than welcome to be in the chat here. Just be kind. They signed Corey Perry. Good Lord. Okay. Yeah. We're moving on from that. I'm going to talk about that. Okay. The other one, a crowd favorite here, and he was picked first in the second round.
Yes.
Now, everybody had been calling him Simon Wang, right? And his last name was spelled W-A-N-G. It's actually spelled H-U-A-N-G. I believe it's still pronounced Wang, though.
Yeah.
But he's not going by Simon. He wants to go by his Chinese name, which I hope I'm saying this right. Haoxi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haoxi Wang.
Well, you're not gonna say You're come on, man.
No,
what do you
know? As
close
as we can get.
I'm not gonna lie.
This up.
I'm not gonna lie. I asked several AI agents, and
many failed.
Yes, many failed hard. But yeah, they came back with Haoxi. So if I'm
I was a lot last month and.
So hopefully I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But he is the highest drafted Chinese-born player in NHL history. First guy out of the second round. So just that close to being a first rounder.
He's enormous. He's 6 foot. You said, six,
Foot
right?
6.
Yeah.
He towers out there. Big boy.
And he's not even 18 yet.
17.
Yeah, he's turning 18 in a couple more weeks.
And same birthday as my son Jace.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
They're so close. Right?
I know, so close. Yeah,
well, he's turning 12.
Maybe not in height. They're not close.
How old is Jason?
Yeah, he's turning 12.
12.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's only a 6-year difference. Isn't that crazy?
But he's like a full
no, I know, but he's
foot
only
and a half
6
tall.
years older than your kid. That's just crazy. These kids
That's
are
true.
getting drafted, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thanks.
So,
I feel old. Yeah,
right,
thank you.
But cool story. Coming out of China, his mom started a bunch of skating schools at first. Then he picked up skating. And this was pre-Olympics, I believe. I forget what the Olympics was. 2018 Winter Olympics. He only started playing hockey 4 years ago.
That's crazy.
And he's drafted in almost the first rounds of the
yeah.
NHL in 4 years. So he's going to be a very raw defenseman. He's going to need some work. And he knows it. He said it. In fact, we actually have a clip here.
Yeah.
So here's the clip of Haoxi Wang and kind of his development path of what he has for himself, what you'll see from him in the next couple of years. So here he is in his own words.
Yes, I'm going back to Oshawa, develop another year, and then hopefully move on to college and then turn pro here.
Why is that the right path for you, to go one more year in the Ontario League and then go to the...
Within this year, I was not, I was in a lower role, and with next year, a lot of guys leaving the team, I'm going to step up a lot for on both sides of the ice, so I can hope to develop my game even more, and after that I'll go to college and play there until I dominate the league, I'll say, and then turn pro here.
And I was just telling Aaron while that clip was playing how mature for this guy is. Again, 17 years old, almost 18, really close to 18.
Yeah.
But for a 17-year-old to take those questions and answer them in such a mature fashion, I thought was pretty amazing. And you can contrast that to last year's Celebrini in front of the camera when you had nothing but bad things to say about poor Celebrini.
I hope he's gotten better going into this year. That's all I'll say about Celebrini. I love the kid. He's a good kid.
No, fantastic.
A kid.
Yes.
I need to learn how to kind of what's it called? Public speaking.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Just one class.
Yeah.
One quick class.
I mean, so do we, frankly.
But you could see just from that clip, right, what the Sharks saw in him.
Yes.
Mature kid. Obviously kind of raw, is going to need a little bit of work. Not a problem. That's fine. But for how mature, like character-wise,
yes,
this is going to be a good kid, and he's going to be a good player. And he's going to work his tail off to get where he needs to go.
And I like how realistic he is and how confident he is about what his next steps are, where he's going to go, that he's going to dominate a certain league before he decides it's time to go pro.
It's funny, right? It's a 2-year plan.
Yeah.
You ask anyone else, we have some other clips of these prospects, and it's I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. We'll see how it goes after the training camp or after the summer.
Just got to get pucks deep.
They have no idea. But this kid, 2 years, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to dominate, and then I'll be ready for the NHL.
Absolutely.
So I think it's refreshing.
And
it's different and refreshing.
I'll tell you quickly, and then we'll move on here. But in one of the training camp videos that I saw, he was defending Michael Misa, and Misa didn't get past him. He did a great job using his body, using his angles, not getting dangled or anything like that, and just shoving him out of the way. Did a fantastic job there. And also during the prospect game, somebody, I can't remember who, tried to break past him, and he just reached around this guy and just tapped the puck off of his stick and took off the other direction. I mean, it was he just raised, like a child, he was just defending a child. He's no, just gonna tap that away from me real quick. And then the other one was when he had the puck and going in the neutral zone, he came barreling across the blue line, and whoever the defender was backing up, just praying to God. And this guy lowers his shoulder, and they made contact, and the other defender just went and shoved him out the way. Yeah. And he just he drove the net, and it was just he willed his way to the net, and nobody could do anything about it.
Did he shoot anything like slap shot? Did he have a hard shot?
I'm sure he did, but I didn't. Yeah. I had the kids with me just and everything
curious.
too. So
is he like Zdeno Chara, where he's just loading up and 100-mile-an-hour slap shots.
He needs the 135 flex stick, right? Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll have to see some other clips maybe again. They do have the prospect scrimmage that's on like YouTube and everything, so you can rewatch a lot of that and check those clips out. Anyway, the other guy I want to talk about real quick, Eric Polkamp, doesn't get the respect he deserves, I think.
It's his third year in this camp.
Because last year, the man dominated. Yeah. And I remember saying this. I remember saying, dude, watch out for Eric Polkamp, okay? Mm-hmm. This guy's a monster. He's like 5 foot nothing. But
11.
Is he? I don't even think he's 5'11".
That's what they list.
Is he listing that? He's probably with skates on, buddy. Anyway,
he's still taller than
this kid. He's still taller than me. Hey, it's not really hard to do. Anyway, this kid, I mean, his skating is fantastic. Yeah. His shooting is fantastic. He's got his head up the whole way. His hustle is off the charts. Again, you guys know, when it's Eklund or a Ferraro or Nico Sturm, it's the high effort guys, and he's one of those guys, but he's got high skill that goes behind it. His only knock is his size, I think. That's the only reason, is because of his size.
But he's proven time and time again that it does not matter, right? Kind of like Cagnoni. Different type of player, but like Cagnoni. Same thing. Keep proving exactly why they were drafted at a certain...
Yeah.
Well, for Polkamp, I think he should have gone a little higher, but probably because of his size. Yes. Same with Cagnoni. Exactly. Both of them, right?
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't get the respect he deserves just because he's a little bit shorter than what the prototypical player in his position would be. Now, he's going back to Denver, because he's trying to get an NC2A championship, right, before he ends up going pro here. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that all goes well for him, because I can't wait to see this guy go pro. Yep. I'm telling you, he's got the motor, he's got the desire, he's got the drive.
This could be Greer's first kind of steal as a GM drafting him. He was drafted in the 5th round.
Yeah.
This kid looks like every bit an NHL player.
So again, it was 4-on-4 and 3-on-3, but he got a hat trick in the prospect game. Now, who really cares about goals and assists and everything else? But hey, again, against his peers, he absolutely rocked it. Keep an eye on Eric Polkamp. Moving on, UFA signings, Aaron. We've got a whole handful of these things.
We do have a lot.
Kurashev from Chicago.
Yes.
You said only 25. I don't think 25 is like super young compared to everybody else on the roster, but it's definitely nice getting a guy who's not in his 30s.
Exactly. Yeah. He's kind of a veteran player, but I don't think he's played that many games, so not extremely. I think he was did I put it down here as a fourth round draft pick in 2018 by Chicago.
Yeah.
Only 25 years old. 2 years ago, he put up 54 points. I think that was Bedard's first year, right? Last year, tanks. Everyone thought, he's going to shoot up to 60, 70 points. He only got 15 points, I believe, last year. So just completely dropped. Now, it came out that he had an injury, and he didn't quite heal and come back from that. That was part of it. But the other part, I think Chicago just kind of, he wasn't putting up the points, so he got dropped down to different lines with different line mates, terrible line mates. I don't think he got a fair shake. So he went to free agency, and the Sharks picked him up, and I think this is a fantastic signing. It's only $1.2 million for 1 year, kind of a prove-it deal.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with this by the Sharks. I like what they did here, because this could be a potential steal of a cheap free agent, right? A young one, too.
Yeah. This could be a guy kind of like a Zetterlund, who maybe just didn't get the proper shake and then comes to the Sharks, and then he takes off, too, right? I like this because, to me, it seems like a rush job by Chicago. They were trying like hell to get Bedard to be happy Bedard, and they were shuffling guys around because Kurashev was injured and whatever. He was trying to come back from that. He wasn't producing, so they moved him, right? And he didn't get the proper playing time with a proper line mate because they were trying to figure out who can help Bedard be happy again, right? So they went through that whole... That's what it is. I'm telling you. So they cycled through whatever. Kurashev, no good. Fine, we'll take him. And you know what? This isn't the first time that we've taken on a project player, right? A guy who maybe fell off a little bit. And, I mean, we talk about Zetterlund, who wasn't getting enough time. Granlund, who was a guy that kind of seemed to have fallen off, and then we picked him up, and he was doing okay. So this isn't the first time. So I would love to see this guy take off a little bit here, and even if not for the Sharks down the road, get his career back on track. And if it's, like I said, a 1 year deal and the team is willing to, kind of bet the farm on this guy, because, again, he is only 25 and he starts putting up points like he did when he was playing with Bedard, but he's playing with the Sharks this season. And we can get an asset back for a guy like that, okay, sure. Otherwise, if he's producing and he's on the younger end, hell yeah, get him an extension, right?
We do have some graphics here, I forgot, for Kurashev, right? Super producer Jason. So these are from JFresh Hockey. I think we're going to see a little bit more of these during the season on our show. But so how to read this? The percentages are how much better he is than other NHLers, other than the projected WAR. So like offense, 8%. He's 8% better than, I guess, the bottom.
So WAR is wins above replacement. And when they say replacement, they mean whoever's the first guy out of the press box. Put it that way. The first healthy scratch that they would put in, that's what the percentage is comparing him to. Yeah.
Okay. So not great here, but this is looking back at 3 years. But again, cheap signing. He has potential. Yeah. He's still kind of young, or young enough, and most likely he's going to be on the third line.
Yeah.
So a third line guy. Who can we compare this guy to? Similar to who was on the third line 2 seasons ago that did a pretty Barabanov.
Okay, yeah.
Remember, he was good at entering the zone with the puck and keeping possession. I think that's kind of his similar style.
Okay.
So it's going to be similar to that. Again, not a high ceiling, but he did put up 54 points. So there's a potential there for, let's say, 30 points.
Yeah.
Maybe even close to 40 on the third line. That would be ideal for the Sharks.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And also resurrect his career. He would be moving on, I'm sure. Yeah. Maybe even at the trade deadline if the Sharks are still at the bottom.
Well, that's what I'm saying, too. If there's a deal to be made at the trade deadline, he's going to be easy to move. It's not like he's a bad contract that we picked up, right? Some could argue Leddy. We'll get to him in a second. But this is a guy that's signed for 1 year at 1.2. Any team, if they see him that he's actually doing well with the Sharks, any team that they see him is going to be able to have room for this guy on their roster, I think. So, again, there's no downside here to me. This is a fantastic job by Mike Greer once again. Okay.
Michael Nepper, real quick. I think he's looking for, Kurashev is a nice get, low risk, high reward. He was moved down the lineup when Chicago picked up a bunch of veterans. And I think he could play second line minutes, as Greer mentioned, how he played well with some good players. So I think he tries them there for a few games, possibly. We'll see. Yeah. I think it also depends on who else they get.
Yeah.
Because there will probably be some more moves between now and training camp.
Sure. Like I said, I'd be very happy if the Sharks had all of Celebrini, Smith, and Misa as centers playing with their respective partners. For me, Eklund with Celebrini and probably Toffoli, right?
Even better, Kovalenko replacement.
Yes, a Kovalenko. There you go. Yeah. Perfect. That's a perfect one, yeah. But also Smith playing with Musty would be fantastic, and then add a winger, and then Misa playing with Chernyshov. If you had 3 solid scoring lines, there's really nothing wrong with that either. Yeah. And just have a fourth line of guys that can kill penalties as needed. That'd be fantastic for me. Anyway, moving on from that, right-handed defensemen, which the Sharks have needed. Now, Aaron, before these trades were announced, or these signings rather were announced, okay, you had messaged me saying, I don't think that the Sharks are going to be a bubble team. Not after the first day or so of free agency, right?
Right. And why did I say that?
It was not looking good because there's nothing on defense, you said.
That's what I said.
And you know what? It's the same thing that I said the last season. I said, he's not done. He's going to get somebody else, I promise you. He's not done yet. Lo and behold, what happens? He goes out and gets John Klingberg, right-handed D, a veteran in the league. And then what was the deal? 1 year, $4 million.
Yep. This is a great deal for both sides, I think. Klingberg, JFresh Hockey. We're going to put the graphic up here.
Whoa!
Not great, but he was very limited minutes in Edmonton last year. He's coming off of the same injury that Patrick Kane had with his hip. So he had the hip, what is it? The ball of the hip shave off and kind of resculpt, and it's very painful and it's very hard to come back from.
Sounds
in fact, Patrick Kane, I believe, is one of the first, or if not the first one to come back from that injury and actually play in the NHL. So Klingberg is right behind him, followed behind him. Didn't play that many minutes in Edmonton, but got all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals with them. Did get some. I don't think he got much power play time because of Bouchard there. So here he's going to be the man. And he is a very good offensive defenseman, puck-moving offensive defenseman. He's going to be running the power play, but not great defensively.
Right.
So pair him up with someone who is very good defensive responsible, right? And that I think he'll be fine. I'm happy they got him.
Yeah.
Because it's also a 1 year deal. It's kind of a prove it to not just himself but the NHL, and he could get moved.
Yeah.
at the deadline.
I was going to say we could pair him up with a certain mean mug that the Sharks also have, but they're both right-handed defensemen, unfortunately.
Right.
Post Gregor's agent at this point. No, not Ben. You don't want me as your agent, buddy. Trust me. Okay, so anyway, John Klingberg, a solid offensive option. Maybe not exactly what the Sharks need. They need better defensive options, but you know what? They also need a guy who can make those plays and get the puck out of the zone.
They needed a power play quarterback. They didn't have that right now. Or at least their younger guys are just not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like Sam Dickinson, who we'll get into in a little bit.
Sure.
All right, so the next signing.
Yes.
A center this time around. This is Adam Gaudette. I think I'm saying that right. Gaudette.
Yes.
2 years at $2 million. Here's his JFresh card. A little bit better here. This, I believe, is the Nico Sturm replacement.
Okay.
This is a center that's going to be playing third or fourth line. He's going to be killing penalties. He can still put the puck in the net, so he's got a little bit of scoring touch, similar to Nico Sturm. So I think this is going to be the new fan favorites of the penalty killers and doing the hard work in the trenches. He's a good signing here. Projected WAR, like at 77%. This is much better, right? We're getting better on these signings. So I'm happy with this. I see nothing wrong with it. And 2 years, that's good for him. So he's not going to be on the move at the trade deadline, most likely. So he'll be around through next year.
And I'm guessing these percentages are taking into account the TOI of being a fourth liner. So if another person off the bench was doing that role, because it says 99% on goals, there's no way.
Based on
right.
I think it's goals per 60 minutes.
Yeah,
that's why. So his minutes are so low, but he's putting up goals.
Sure.
So his goals 60 are probably through the roof because of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
not the 99th best scorer in the league. That's not.
Like, what a pickup for 2 years, $2 million.
Right. Yeah.
No. But yeah, Adam Gaudette again. He's got big shoes to fill if he's supposed to replace Nico Sturm. Okay.
Yes.
How dare you ever say that?
Nico went back to
There is
Minnesota.
no replacement.
Did you see that?
I didn't.
He went back to Minnesota.
Good for him.
Yeah.
You know
where he started. I believe. Right.
I believe he did start there. Yeah. Anyway, so Adam Gaudette, I imagine he's going to end up playing third line because I think they're going to have Stopchuk centering the fourth line. I could be wrong on that one, but we'll see. It kind of leaves Bistad in a bad spot. But
I think Bistad could use another. I think what we're going to see is him bounce back and forth. Get cups of coffee, get the NHL, because he's only played, I think, 2 seasons now in North American ice, because he's used to the bigger ice in Sweden, right, where he was from. So I think he's on his way, but we need to have some backups, right? We need to have other options here just in case.
For sure. This one had me yelling at my phone in a good way. Dmitry Orlov.
Yes.
Dude. Dmitry Orlov. Really? That is a solid veteran defenseman. I love that.
I want to say when I was talking about with you last week about how I don't think this is a bubble team unless they sign Orlov. I think is what I said. I'm going to see if I can try to find it. But go ahead. You were saying.
So no, I will always remember. I believe it was Matt Duchene, and I believe he was coming across the blue line, and Orlov gave him one of the last true hip checks, the butt check. And he just went end over end, and it was Orlov that did it. So in any case, that's what I remember about him the most. But yes, Dmitry Orlov, absolutely, he's a solid veteran presence on that blue line, and it's amazing if you take a look at the turnover that we have on this roster already. And I wish maybe for the next show what we'll do, because last season what you did, you sometime during the season, I think you're like, you know what, look at the team at the beginning of the season, and now look at the team now, and there was so much turnover. And then we looked at the team prior to, and it was like there was so much turnover. And I imagine looking at even just the defensive core today versus last season. And we're not even done yet with the rest of free agency or making more trades and whatnot. There's could be some more shakeups. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. But, I mean, the roster looks so different already, even just on the defensive side, by adding, we'll talk about the third one here as well, but even just these two. And again, good, solid defensive veteran presence. I love that.
Did we put his card up yet? From JFresh?
Orlov? No, go for it. Yeah, there you go. Look at that man.
Much better.
Look at that man.
He's a two-way defenseman, so not quite all defense, definitely not a power play quarterback. He's a little bit older. He's 33. So I think one of the scouts that Shane Penn had asked said on a good team, he's probably a third-line pairing, maybe top 4, but he's going to be good for the Sharks.
Well, on this team, it says he had enough time on ice to be considered second pair. And that's the Hurricanes.
Yes.
Solid group.
Yes. And apparently he fell off in the playoffs. But
whatever.
Doesn't matter because the Sharks won't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, so he won't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So it's perfect. Perfect signing by Mike Greer yet again. Very happy that they got him. That kind of really solidifies the defense in a much better way. I mean, this came, 2 days after the opening? Was it the third?
It was 2 days after the opening, I believe.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, thank God. Like I was a little worried the Sharks defense looked really shaky. And a lot of free agents were kind of coming off already and going to other teams. So I actually... Oh, we have one more.
Yeah.
The waiver claim.
The waiver claim.
Right? So I don't have a card for Nick Leddy.
Yeah.
Because he was so bad that I didn't even make a card for him. But he was waived by St. Louis. He's got 1 year left at $4 million. Nick Leddy won a cup with Chicago back in 2012, 13, something around there.
Something in there, yeah.
He was a pretty legit puck-moving defenseman. Still is, can skate really well. Kind of like, I guess you can say it's like Klingberg, but he's a little bit older and slower than he used to be. He's a lefty, though, not a righty.
Yeah.
I think it's a good pickup by the Sharks. It's kind of it makes sense. It helps them get to the cap floor. So in 1 day, he signed $10.5 million with Orlov and picking up Leddy off of waivers.
Yeah.
So the Sharks finally hit the cap floor, so we don't have to worry about them being non-compliant or picking up even more garbage off the waiver wire. But Nick Leddy, I think he's a serviceable defenseman. I think he's better than what Vlasic was, which makes sense on why Vlasic was bought out. And it was less about the money, obviously, for Vlasic, and more about the roster spot. Now, Vlasic had a no movement clause.
Yeah.
That was, I think, part of the problem. Because they couldn't bury him in the minors. They couldn't send him to the Barracuda. They couldn't waive him. They couldn't do anything. Or I guess they could waive him for a buyout, but they couldn't do anything. All they could do was scratch him. And that's what they were doing. And I think it was kind of taking up a spot, right?
Yeah.
Like it gave him less leeway to do things, especially with the younger guys that we're going to see come up for a cup of coffee and go back down. And there's going to be more movement and more of that this year with Vlasic gone. But Leddy, I think, is a better replacement for Vlasic.
Yeah, I mean, hard to say that it's not. I mean, he costs less, right, by $3 million. I mean, not that that's a problem, but I'm just saying if you're looking at, like, holistically the ability to move this player at something, obviously he didn't want to get moved. Otherwise, he would have waived that and gone somewhere else, so like late in his career to try to chase a cup. I'm actually surprised that he didn't do that because he knew San Jose wasn't going anywhere.
I don't think anyone wanted him. That was the problem.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it could be the case, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you're retaining half and you find somebody else that can even drop that down even more, somebody would want to market Vlasic as like a seventh defenseman, just a backup option. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But regardless, so Nick Leddy, again, 1 year. $4 million, I think is a great move here, still picking him up. A much better move to me than picking up Barclay Goodrow in the previous season, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not a huge I'm not a huge fan of that one. I think we have enough of those types of players. They're easy to get.
You need a veteran guy who's going to be the glue of your team, and off ice is in the locker room helping things. I think that's what that was more for.
Sure.
I mean, he obviously did the Rangers a favor, right?
Yeah.
He did them a solid, and I'm sure that it will come back at some point.
And I'm just waiting for that favor to get repaid. I don't know when that's going to happen or if it's going to happen. It probably won't. But, that one kind of threw me for a loop. But this one here, again, this waiver claim makes sense to me. Again, just another guy that they can add to this roster if they have any sort of issues with left-handed defensemen. It also opens up the possibility of moving some of the already left-handed defensemen that they have if they wanted to try to get an asset for one of those guys, and they've already got somebody else that can fill those shoes if need be, right? And I'm thinking this team might be still bubble bound. So it's not like you need to have a guy that's going to carry you through the playoffs, right?
Right.
We're just looking for good enough at this point, and I think Nick Leddy fits that bill. But who knows? There could be some more trades coming up, or maybe another free agent signing. I don't know, but probably more trades that are coming up.
Michael Knepper again. Leddy was injured and not bad. Played at the end of the season as he got better, but they held him out to ensure that he was good before playing him. Not as bad as I think. I don't know, his stats show.
Sure,
really, and I don't think he got a fair shake.
Which again, if that's the case, then that just makes that pickup even better for Mike Greer. I'm pointing over to the bobble here again. One of the ugliest bobbles you will ever see in your life. They did him wrong. People, they did Mike Greer wrong with this bobble. The half and half thing, terrible. Anyway, moving on from Nick Leddy, I think.
We do have a tweet here. Now, there was a lot of people were kind of upset about Mike Greer not doing more and signing big fish.
Sure.
Right? Big fish free agents is what I'm talking about.
For instance, Nikolai Ehlers.
Yes.
Right? Who were some of the other big names that we thought? I mean, Mitch Marner, but that wasn't ever going to happen.
Marner was one. I mean, all those top free agents.
Yeah,
Marner was up there. Who else was... Who else? Well, Marner's kind of different, though, because he signed a trade to Vegas. But... some other ones. Ehlers was one of them for sure. But anyway, there's a quote here from Greer, and this is Curtis Pashelka that put this up on his Twitter. Greer on the challenges of signing free agents while in a rebuild. This is what Greer said. There's going to be some free agents that are going to prioritize trying to win as soon as they can, and that's just the reality of our situation. So each athlete, each person, and each family has different ways to look at free agency and how they want to go about it, and that's their right. The consensus with agents and players is they all like the direction we're going and where we're headed, but some guys are just trying to win, and I get it. You're only in this league for so long. So I think, is San Jose a destination for free agents? Soon. I don't think it is yet. For big free agents, like big name guys, right? They like what they're seeing, and they want to see some progress. But imagine, it'd be like when Johnny Gaudreau signed with Columbus. Everyone was like, what? That's kind of weird. He was one of the biggest free agents, and he signed in Columbus, and they weren't really a contender. Like, it was just kind of odd. But similar to that, they love Celebrini. They see what he's done in a full season now after last year. They like the direction that Mike Greer is taking this team and all the cap space that they have and all the potential and all this other stuff. But they're not there yet. Yeah. I think in a couple more seasons, it's going to be a very different story. In fact, during the draft on ESPN, they called the Sharks the team of the 2030s. Yeah. Because they're going to dominate the league in the 2030s because all these guys are going to be hitting their prime at that point. It's going to be insane. And the pipeline is still being produced. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing when the Sharks were in their heyday from, let's say, 05 to 15, 16, whatever they made it to the finals, their pipeline was kind of bleak. They traded away a lot of their picks for established players. That's kind of what you see other teams do that now, right? To kind of keep their window open. So they lost out on that pipeline. That pipeline got destroyed, but they were chasing a cup. It makes sense. Now that pipeline is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're constantly ranked as the number one prospect pool. Yeah. And they're still continually adding to it these ridiculous players that they don't need to be ready right away, right? Like Haoxi Wang. We're not going to see him in the NHL for a couple years. At least. Probably going to forget about him until prospect camp comes around and you're like, oh yeah, there's that 6'6" dude, but he's going to slowly come along and then he's going to eventually join the team and it's going to be like, holy cow.
7 feet now.
That's an injection of youth that's continually coming that has high skill. Yeah. So the team is going to be set up for what I like what Greer's doing is he's creating a dynasty. He's not creating a team to win it now or compete now. Yes. He's saying, we'll take the L's right now because we're just stockpiling and creating something much bigger and much longer term. And he is in such good control of the salary cap. They're in such good salary cap. I mean, someone had just said it too, that he has like the best salary cap. Even in a couple seasons when Celebrini is going to be, the truckload of money is going to be coming for him and Will Smith and a couple other guys. He's going to be set. He's going to be fine. It's not going to be like Toronto that's going to have to get rid of one of their core pieces. Yeah, right? Absolutely. Or what we're seeing in Tampa Bay soon because, again, they got to pay people. They're pay their due. Yeah. So, anyway.
The more you know.
I can't talk now.
I just think it's all good things right now in San Jose. Our situation is very bright. Obviously, they're not going to be winning a cup next season, but like you said, he's doing the right thing in building a dynasty right now. He's getting all the bullets loaded in the chamber, and like somebody else had said, the team of the 2030s. I think that's absolutely spot on. By the time these kids grow into their size, right, grow into their skates, if you will, this team is going to be absolutely fantastic. And yes, those free agents that are right now saying, we like what you're doing, but just not yet, right? I feel like some of those guys who might want to sign, Greer doesn't want to sign like long term, but maybe like a 4-year contract like Toffoli did. I think some of those guys might be kicking themselves a little bit if they're signed longer term with a different team, and that team starts to go downhill, and they look over at the Sharks going, man, if I just gave them that 4-year contract and just wrote it out a little bit there, we'd have been part of this great thing that's being built out there.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Oh, yeah.
What should the roll call question be?
Do you think? Well, so first of all, where are you?
What city are you watching?
What city are you watching this from? And do you think that what we've done so far is enough to make us a bubble team? Oh. And 2, what else is Greer going to go out and get? Sorry, Jason. Sorry, buddy.
End the show.
End the show. He has to type it all out. He's
Jason's
very upset. So,
what was that? What were the questions? I already forgot.
So,
replay.
Do you think
they're a bubble team?
they're now a bubble team?
No.
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
Why? Is that embarrassing?
I don't think so.
So you still don't think that they're a bubble team?
Right now, no. I think they still got a couple moves. Greer's got a couple moves up his sleeve.
Okay,
so I'm not ready to say yes or no yet.
So I think as it is right now, they are close to being a bubble team as it is. Okay?
Yeah.
That's
as of right now,
my
I'd say no.
Okay. Then the other question was, what did I say? What else is he going to go out and get?
I think now there's a logjam in defensemen.
Yeah.
And I think one of those gets to get moved. I think some other guys maybe in the bottom 6 are going to get moved. That, again, you said like Gaudreau, right? Gaudreau and a couple other guys that probably – it's a logjam again in the bottom 6 too. So there needs to be a little bit of movement. Obviously, we already said earlier he needs a goalie for the Barracuda, but that's Barracuda, not the Sharks. So I think if they could get a top winger, top 6 winger, or someone pretty solid for the top 9.
Yeah.
I think that would make me consider it more. Maybe even, I want to say a better defenseman, but I don't know. I kind of want to see, I think Dickinson's ready for the jump.
Okay.
And I want to see him in the lineup. So I don't want to see...
We'll be talking about that later too, though.
Right, but I don't want to see another defenseman coming in to take that spot.
Sure.
So I think him and Mook Madulin, I think, are kind of going to go... Like, they're both ready, in my opinion.
I think that the moves are not done. I think Greer's going to go out and get us a top 6 or, like you say, top 9, but middle 6. Someone that can play on that second line. Okay, that's what I think he's going to go out and go after. And I believe he said as much, which maybe we'll be saying that a little bit later on. I'm not sure. But I think that's what he's going to go out and get. And yes, I agree, and we'll talk about the defenseman as well. But there is a bit of a logjam on D. So there are still some more moves I believe that are coming. Now, some of you guys, most of you guys are disagreeing with me saying they're not a playoff team. However, I didn't say playoff team. I said a bubble team. So that would be a team that is right there. Team that is right there trying to make that 16th spot. Maybe they make it, maybe they don't. But if they don't, it's not because they're the worst team in the league.
We just stunk.
We just stunk.
I think a better way to define it is they're not sellers at the deadline.
Yes.
They're looking at, holy crap, we're close.
We're so close.
I think we can add versus subtract.
But I don't think that the addition would be like selling off big assets and hoping to like pull somebody in for a 1 year, one shot just to get in. That's not what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about, again, just a team that is right there. They think they can make it. They might squeeze in at 16. If they don't, they'll end up at 17th or 18th. That's what I'm talking about. Now, a lot of you disagree, and that's totally fine. They haven't been a good team in a long time, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I will die on that hill this season if I have to, okay? I've drawn the line in the sand. I've made my opinion known, and I'm not going to go back on it just because a bunch of people disagree with me. I'm sticking to it. Sharks are going to be a bubble team this season. They will finish no lower than 20th. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah, no lower than 20th.
So they're going to beat out 12 other teams.
Yeah. It's happening.
I don't know.
It's happening.
I think they'll be in that range. I think they'll be in the bottom 10.
You know why?
Kind of like what I thought last year. They'd be about the 7th, 8th, 9th worst team, 10th worst team. Kind of still in that lottery, but not high lottery pick. You know what I mean? That's where I think.
Okay.
Go on.
I think they'll do better than last season. because
they have to.
Well, because they have to. First of all, yes, of course. No, Askarov.
Yes.
I think he's going to have his welcome to the NHL season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do real well for the Sharks. The Sharks now have some veteran defensemen in front of him.
Yep.
And they've got a Celebrini and a Smith that have one more year's worth of experience, along with some other guys that are really going to help with their production as well.
We didn't even talk about Nedeljkovic.
Yeah. As the backup.
Completely. That got down to the bottom there on
a solid net minder.
Absolutely.
Right?
And he played for Warsofsky.
Yes.
And there was some other connection there too.
I forget what the other one. I do remember with Warsofsky though. So
yeah.
No, I think we have better pieces this season. Now Blackwood was fantastic for us. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't have the defense in front of Blackwood like we're gonna have in front of Askarov.
Yeah.
Is it Askarov or Askarov, by the way?
Askarov.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did this last season. I don't remember what we decided on.
I think he was messing with him, like how Dan Ruzanowski said.
Ben says he'd be surprised if we get to 25th. Ben, let me tell you something, Ben. I was right about Noah Gregor with the whole 9-goal thing. More often than not. Okay? And I'm gonna be right about this.
Barely.
I'm going to be right about this. Paul, if you're right, it would be probably one of the largest turnarounds in league history. Peter St. John, get ready for the largest turnaround in NHL history, buddy. It's happening, okay?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm optimistic. Recklessly optimistic.
He's not wrong. That jump would be so big.
It would be huge.
In the points. I don't know. Just looking at the lineup here. I just had it right here.
Is this roster better than last year's roster?
Oh, yeah. But you could say that every year for the last 5 years. It looks better on paper. You never know until you see it on the ice, right?
All right.
And injuries and whatnot. But I think, I think it's better. I do think it's better than last year.
Okay.
I think also the experience that the younger guys got from last year.
Yes.
Smith and Celebrini specifically.
Absolutely.
They're going to be hitting the ground running this season. Last year, I think they were a little bit slow to get up to speed, especially Will Smith took the first half of the season. So I think he's going to be much improved. I think Celebrini is going to be somehow much improved, like more of not missing a dozen games in the season, staying healthy and being more consistent. Mm-hmm. He kind of tailed off towards the end of last season. Where'd he go? John Spela, $2. Are any of the Sharks bald? Is there anyone under 30 on this team?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think they all have a full head of hair.
Desharnais? Is Desharnais bald?
He shaved it, though. Can we see the picture? Do you have it? Let's see it.
Of course I have it.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
There
you go.
I guess it's shaved.
Unless he grew it out. Yeah, it's shaved. Oh, okay. So, he's not balding.
It's like half balding.
Whatever, anyway. Hey, John, thank you so much for supporting the show. I do appreciate you doing that, man. That's awesome. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to say here. Everyone says I'm wrong, and that's totally fine. Like I said, I will die on that hill.
Paul's hurt now.
I will die on that hill this season if I have to. That's fine. I'm not changing my mind until the trade deadline or probably Thanksgiving. So
they would definitely be more competitive than they were last year. I think. Yeah. Like what we said last year, they had they ended with 31 or 32 games within a goal.
Yeah.
Right? Or a close game. And the close game was within a goal, excluding an empty net goal.
Yeah.
So if they could win half of those games, that's putting them exactly where I thought they were going to be, which is about 8th, 9th worst place team.
Sorry, Ben and Gunsry had a great comment there regarding if any Sharks players were bald. It's Drew and Aaron are. Sharks representatives.
I am?
You are?
Oh.
What? It's a filter. This whole time we've had a filter.
Can you imagine?
Aaron's got a
I've been
afro.
wearing a bald cap for 7 years now of this show.
Anyway, let's go ahead. We talked about the Sharks having a lot of defense, and we got to have some of these guys maybe traded off because there's a logjam bit here. So specifically left-handed defense, which I think is the case for most teams. Most teams have more left-handed defense than they do right. But go ahead and take this one away. You think the Sharks need to make some moves here?
I do. There's kind of a logjam. So Leddy, who is a left-handed shot, does play on the right side. So I think he's going to be more of a right-handed or right D.
Right D. Yeah.
So I'm not worried about him, but we have, let's see, Mook Wendulin, Henry Thrun, Sam Dickinson, Sam Cagnoni. Is it Sam?
Luca
Cagnoni, sorry. On top of now Orlov, Ferraro. Who else I miss? Anyone?
Well,
That's
Thrun's in there.
Thrun. I already said
you
Thrun.
said Thrun, yeah.
But that's a lot of guys that are left-handed D. So I think we're going to see some of those move. Now, Henry Thrun and who's the other one? Ferraro, the two that are kind of been thrown around as up for trade. Darnay's probably another one that could get moved.
Absolutely. But Darnay's also right-handed, so
Yes.
you're creating another problem. Oh, there you go. Creating another problem by moving him. Although, honestly, I don't remember him playing too many games last season either.
Oh, friend of the show, Jack Thompson, who is yet to sign, I believe. Yeah. He's still an RFA.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's coming, but that's another right-handed shot defenseman that the Sharks could be adding to their lineup or possibly moving. Who knows?
No, and I believe in Jack Thompson. I really do. I think he's a great player, and I think maybe a little bit more time in the AHL there, he'll be ripe and ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like another guy that's going to be bouncing
back and forth.
Like he did this year or last season. Polkamp right side will force his way on this team next year. He's already, you said this year, but he's already said he's going back to Denver. So he has not signed his entry-level contract. But he did say in his interviews during the rookie camp.
Yeah.
Not even rookie camp.
Development
camp. That he's expecting to sign after this season in Denver. So he's got one more year of college that he's going to do that he really wants to win an NCAA championship. So if his team gets bounced, I wouldn't be surprised if he signs.
He'll come on over.
And then we'll see him at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
So he'll probably have a couple games with the Sharks at the very end of the season.
Okay. Yeah, definitely looking at him. We'll talk about Dickinson in a second here, but I did mention earlier that I think Greer is going to bring in a top 6 winger, and I think it was top 9 was what you had heard as well. Mm-hmm. I think it was Dave Pagnota. I can't pronounce that name.
Pagnota?
Sure, there you go. He had said a top 6. I'm going to go with top 6 because that would be better for us to have a top 6 than a top 9. Regardless. So it's this had happened on Twitter X, whatever, right? I was seeing him saying that the Sharks are looking for a top 6. And I believe it was JD Young, I think, was saying that the Sharks are going to dangle Ferraro for a top 6 winger. And this user on X named Katie decided to say any top 6 winger can dangle Ferraro, which I thought was rude but hilarious. And I asked if I could use it on the show, and she didn't respond, so I'm using it on the show. Hat tip to Katie on that one. Rude but hilarious. So anyway, I do think that the Sharks could certainly move on from some of their defensemen that have been there for quite a while in order to bring in more of what they need, as they do have a lot of specifically left-handed defensemen right now. I think they had like 8 or 9 listed on Puckpedia that are on the roster, right? Yep. So I think getting rid of a couple of those guys is a bit of a must. Now, yes, you could push some guys down to the AHL, potentially. Some of them maybe you have to go through waivers to be able to do that. I don't think the Sharks are interested in just unloading a guy like that. I think they would rather make the trade, get an asset back if he's going to end up coming off of this team. But definitely something to look out for, I think, is getting one of those potential top 6 wingers in via trade or something like that. Now, there's a couple guys here. Some guys are shooting for the moon. We're talking about guys like, at the time, Nick Robertson and Jason Robertson, right? The brothers, right? I don't know that those are options for the Sharks. Maybe for the same types of reasons where it's like, they don't really necessarily want to come to, the Sharks right now. Although in some cases, if it's just a trade, they don't have a choice anyway. But I think another option here, and I had said this, I think, a week or two ago, was Jack Roslovic.
Yes.
I think would be a great add. He's, a guy that can play anywhere kind of in that middle, middle 6. I think he's more of a defensively minded guy. He's got really strong forecheck, strong back check. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that's got his feet moving all the time. So, I don't know. I think that that's a guy that the Sharks might target, and especially if he's a little bit more on the defensive side where he's more reliable. If you get a guy like that in here and he's not just thinking offense, then he's one of those types that can kind of help out those new goaltenders and those defensemen who are trying to figure out our system despite the fact that they're veterans as well. Defense is a 5-man job, 6-man really. So, I don't know. I think Roslovic would be a good addition to the team. So, that's just one more name I was throwing out there anyway.
Well, if you had to pick anyone from Florida, who would you want? Thank you, John Svela, for another $2.
Oh!
If you could have anyone from Florida, who would it be? Well, if the price is fine, I would take Kachuk.
Yeah.
Who would you want?
Not. Come on.
Realistically, though, that's a different story.
Well,
right?
if you could have anyone, I don't know. I think, you know what? Tkachuk's probably the right guy. I think I'd rather have that agitator. I know Barkov is kind of, Sam Bennett. That's the other one. Yeah. Ben, that's a good one, buddy.
That was the one. So three of them, right? It was Bennett, Marchand, and who were supposed to go to free agency, and Ekblad were supposed to go to free agency, and they all signed back with the team, which was crazy how they worked all that out. But I was secretly hoping that the Sharks would be in on Sam Bennett when he was up for re-signing. Yeah. But unfortunately, he's back with them. So is that who you'd want, Sam Bennett?
It would be between Sam Bennett and Tkachuk, I think. Not because they're better than Barkov or better than Marchand or whoever. Not because they're better than any of those guys necessarily, but I think they bring that kind of grit that I think the Sharks are missing. Yeah. Right? I think that's what the Sharks need more than anything else in terms of a forward that has skill still. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's not going to get pushed around, someone who's going to stand up for his teammates and can actually do something about it. I've seen the Sharks, even Celebrini, standing up for his teammate, right? Somebody gets hit the wrong way and they went after him a little bit. But that's not the guy that you want dropping the gloves there. And it's certainly not, he's not going to do as much. He's not going to instill as much fear. Right. A guy like Tkachuk or Bennett, get the hell out of my way. Right?
Also with skill.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Just a thug.
That's what I mean. There's a skill component there, but on top of that, there's that grit as well. And someone had mentioned Roslovic is still a free agent. Yes. Sorry, I meant to say that I would like them to go after Roslovic, but I do think that there are trades to be made for a guy that can be either that same type of player or just getting a top six forward. I think there are some trades to be made, and I think that that's going to happen in the form of a defenseman going out. But yes, in terms of free agency and just picking up a guy, I think Roslovic would be a great pickup. That's what I meant to say. I apologize if I gave the wrong impression there. But hey, John, thanks again, dude. I appreciate you, again, supporting the show. You can also support the show, by the way, going to thefinfactor.com, checking out any of the merch we have for sale. These hats that are here, if you like these, they're on there as well, along with other shirts and hoodies and that kind of thing. So definitely check that out if you'd like to support the show that way as well. Get something back for it. Appreciate that. Otherwise, you guys, same thing that he just did. You could do it with the Super Chat or at Venmo at the Fin Factor. Anything you put in there, same thing he just did. We'll go ahead and read it out live on the air here. And if you do it afterwards, we'll go ahead and do it in the next show. So there you go. Again, John, thank you so much for supporting. Do appreciate that. Aaron, the last thing I want to say about Roslovic is that he is right-handed.
Yes.
Plays on the right wing. He is a good middle six guy.
He's a center and
a center, so he can take draws. That's the thing. So we talked about this. Centerman gets kicked out. You got somebody in there who can actually take a draw. He's one of those guys. And he's good for about 40 points. He had a couple 40-point seasons, then a 30-point season, and then another 40-point season. So, again, I think he adds a little bit of the defensive responsibility, but he could also do quite a good job with the offensive side of things as well, chipping in, adding some points here and there. And, again, for a middle six role, not for having to play alongside Celebrini necessarily, because you got other guys that can do that. But if he can fill in on those other lines, that would be great, and I think that bumps guys like Goodrow out of the way, right, to let the other kids jump in there and play as well, and he's certainly got more skill than Goodrow's going to bring. So that's my rant, why I would like to have Jack Roslovic as part of this roster, so there you go. Anyway, what else did you want to say? Is there anything else you want to say about the left-handed D here?
Well, is there going to be room for Sam Dickinson? Is he going to make this team? And if he is, how, right? Someone's going to have to get moved. Yeah. And that's exactly what Greer said would happen. So, we do have a clip here. This is Mike Greer after the prospect scrimmage, I believe. Yeah. Or maybe even during it, because I think you can hear it in the background. Asking if there's going to be room for Dickinson to make this team, and here's his response.
I mean, it hasn't changed. It's the same in our eyes. Sam's. It's been good to see him this week. He's just a year away from last year. He looks, more confident, stronger, more self-assured. So, same as post-draft. Those guys are, it's going to be on them to show us that they belong here and they can play at this level. And if he does, it's just like the rest. We'll figure it out. We'll make room for him.
There you go. That's what he said, right? If we're going to have to make a move, we'll make a move. Yeah. He's going to make him, or they're going to force him to make a move. And I think that's going to happen.
He talked about him being more confident, more sure of himself. I have to say, during that prospect game, he looked a little too sure of himself. Dear God, I think he, in a past life, he played as a forward because he didn't seem to know to stay back at all. He just kept bringing the puck in. Now again, 4-on-4, and they probably said, "Hey guys, go ahead, have some fun."
Yeah, exactly.
This is not. We're not evaluating you. We're not evaluating you guys at all. All we're doing right now is just getting to know you guys. Go out there, play, have a good time. You know.
I didn't clip it, but Greer mentioned it. Going, yeah, it's kind of July hockey. You know, like they're not really. It is what it is. I was oh man, he's just knocking them for their play. Is just terrible right now. Well, makes sense.
But
on vacation, right?
So what I saw out of Dickinson was, I think it was even his first shift. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but he hits the puck and he loads up like he's going to shoot, and then pulls it between his legs and comes out the other side. Not that that's an amazing move necessarily. I see that the kids 10-year-olds kids are doing this stuff, right? Not that it's crazy. But it's cocky, right? It's to be able to pull that off.
But it's the process.
No, I get it. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's he's a little too assured of himself. He's like, I'm just going to show up. Like, okay, cool. Twice, Aaron, on the same shift.
The reigning AHL Player of the Year, or not AHL, CHL. Sorry,
I don't know.
Was he the CHL Player of the Year?
Maybe
he was Defenseman of the Year. Yeah. But he was also the highest scoring player, or one of the highest scoring players, highest scoring defenseman for sure. I mean. Do what you got to do, man.
All I'm saying is he pulled it.
Showboat it.
I'm sure.
Do it.
Again, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying the guy was. I'm not knocking it at all. I'm just saying he was very sure of himself, and he was very happy to pull it between his legs twice on one shift, the exact same area and everything. So. And he, again, carrying the puck deep in the zone, going behind the net and everything. Now, again, I'm sure he's not going to be doing this during NHL caliber games, right?
Yes.
This is, again, prospect scrimmage. Right. They're just having fun. I love it. It's fantastic. Again, not knocking it whatsoever. However, dude, you didn't really put your defensive strength on display. So, it was really fun to watch him kind of just go all out. Kind of the same with Polkamp, although Polkamp got on the board, but
3 times.
Yeah, and just watching him do his thing, he was fantastic as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was again. I was hoping to see maybe a little bit more of what his play is actually like, as opposed to what his just fun time play is kind of like, you know. But is he ready for the NHL? If he does those sorts of things, probably not. Right? It's nice that he has that skill. And I'm sure he'll rein it in when he's actually playing.
Right. I wouldn't read too much into it.
I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not reading too much into it. I'm just saying if that's how he's gonna try, he's gonna have a rough first couple of weeks in the NHL, right? So no, but I do believe that he's gonna make the roster. They said that if he shows that he can make the roster, we'll make room, right? We will make room. And I think that even includes not having to trade anybody necessarily and just having him as a healthy scratch now and then. We saw this with Will Smith last season, the development days and stuff. It's not a problem for him to have to sit out a little bit if he's getting some good NHL caliber ice time and then maybe taking a bit of a break, seeing things from a different perspective, right? Learning the more defensive side of the game. He's a big guy, so I'm sure he'll do just fine. But yeah, I do think he makes the roster this season. I just think that he's definitely not going to be pulling the development camp moves out there during the show. But
no, I don't think he'll do that. But we do have a clip here from him. And someone had just mentioned, I think it was Nick. He just said Dickinson's going to be a great franchise player, great player on the ice, and his interview with Brody Brazil showed how well-spoken he is too. I agree. Here you can check out from his own words in the interview that he had after the game what he thinks. The question is kind of how is he going to carry that momentum forward from last year into this year, and if he thinks he's going to make the team. So here's Dickinson in his own words.
Yeah, I think it's just taking what worked for me. Obviously, it's a completely different level, here and what hopefully the next level is for me. It's obviously completely different, so it's just understanding there's a big jump to be had, but at the same time sticking with what's got me to where I have, and just learning everything I can, soaking everything in.
What he's got a really good personality. Didn't really come out in that clip though, but he does have a fantastic personality. He's a jokester.
Yeah, goofy. Yeah, a goofy kid. He reminds me kind of like Thornton, like just loose and obviously a good player, but just off the ice, just a goofy kid. Yeah. Not even a kid. Like he looks like a man. Like he looked like he put on a lot more muscle from last year, and to me he looks like he's NHL ready, at least physically wise. Yeah. He looks like he's ready.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him on the roster. I think he'll make it, and if the Sharks have to move guys off the roster to do it, they will. So I think it's promising for him and his the start of his career. Anything else you wanted to say about Dickinson here, though?
Just that I think he's going to force his way force his way onto the team, and Greer's going to have to make a move to make a roster spot for him.
It again sounds like Ferraro is going to be the first casualty there. I wouldn't be surprised if Thrun, like we said earlier, I believe. I wouldn't be surprised if Thrun was one of those guys. He's got NHL games under his belt, and he's certainly a good option for another team to have as a healthy scratch that can come in, or a bottom six type of guy who maybe doesn't get quite as many minutes, right? I think it's interesting though, because Thrun came to the Sharks because of the same sort of reason. Like, he wasn't going to get the playing time behind everybody else in Anaheim.
His path to NHL was blocked in Anaheim because he was this high on the depth chart, and then all of a sudden, within a year or two, it was like boom, he just got knocked way down.
Kind of what's happened now in San Jose.
Yeah, but at least he got to the NHL. I think he's an established NHL defenseman, so it would be easier to move on to another team versus where he was when he came to the Sharks.
I agree, but for me, it's got to be a little heartbreaking for him to get that opportunity and then not really do as much with it as he should have, right? But
it's on him, right?
Exactly,
yeah.
But I think other teams saw him play in the NHL, saw that he was okay, right? Even if he looked not so great, you can make the argument, not so great on a not so great team. They all didn't look too hot,
but
right?
He's also still improving. Like, he's still getting better and better every year.
Absolutely.
And even last year, you saw the improvements. At the beginning of the year, he wasn't doing so great, and then got more consistent and was by the end of the year, I thought he was one of the better defensemen on the Sharks.
And I think for a guy that's only costing you $1 million a year, for another team that's maybe going to be playoff bound, they just need a guy who can cover that base if need be at a really cheap price. I think he's a good option as well. So for me, where I'm saying about this here is that I think Greer has a good asset that he can move for a cost control needing team that can take a defenseman off of his hands, and I think that'll help make some more room for Dickinson.
Yes.
So that's what I was trying to get at. Anyway, before we go and talk about trades, was there something else that you wanted to bring up, or are we doing that later on?
That's later.
Later on. Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about some of the trades. There were really only the two that we were going to talk about here, right?
Yeah.
So it's just the goaltender, whose name I'm going to butcher, Nedeljkovic?
Nedeljkovic? Yeah.
Not going to work here anymore.
Well, Shang, if I knew that answer, then I wouldn't have. We would have started off better.
Oh, I love it. Yes, sir. Hit that bell. Way to go.
Ned. You could call him
Neddy. We've had a lot of Alex goaltenders. I can't call him Alex. So he's going to be the goalie in tandem with Askarov.
Exactly what we had talked about. What the Sharks needed is a 1B situation for Askarov.
Yeah.
This Askarov can probably get in 45, maybe 50 games, depending on how he's doing. Also health-wise, and if Nedeljkovic...
Yeah, Eli's got it on there.
Nedeljkovic.
But see, you got to put the right accent on the syllable, because I don't know if it's Nedeljkovic or you got to make it capitalized.
Nedeljkovic.
That's gonna work.
I mean, just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
Come on,
now,
Eli.
Now
get it together, Eli.
Now you're overthinking it. Anyway, Nedeljkovic.
Oh, I can't lie, it was, a lot last, month.
So here are the rails, and then here's us, like off the rails.
This is. It was hard to spell. Write it out, type it out.
I don't want to hear about freaking fragile, okay?
Anyway, Nedeljkovic. I was a fan of his when he was on Carolina. Then he got moved to Pittsburgh, and now he's here. So
okay.
I'm also. Was it Eli? Is that his name?
Eli.
You can call him Ned.
Could be Ellie.
I'm a Ned super fan. So perfect. We'll call him Ned. So Ned,
yes.
I was a big fan of him as well. I think he's going to do well under Spear, the goaltending coach.
Yeah.
If Askarov goes down with an injury or he's just in a slump and needs a little break to work on stuff with Spear, he could take the reins for a couple weeks at a time. So I'm very comfortable with it. I think the tandem is fantastic, and he's going to do very well for the Sharks.
I think it's going to be great seeing these two leading the team to being a bubble team. Okay. Nedeljkovic. There you go. Nick B has got it. There you go. See, with the capitalization.
That's
where the accent goes. That's the syllable for the accent.
I'm going to have to practice that.
Okay, moving on from that one. So, yes, again, shoring up, I think, the whole goaltending situation is fantastic. A pretty much nothing trade here.
A third-round pick for 2028.
Yeah. Didn't have to unload much at all to get that done. But with the nothing trade I was talking about actually was the next one, which is Thomas Bordolanogo. He's done with the Sharks here.
Traded. It was a change of scenery trade.
Yeah, it was.
They did him right by moving him on.
I agree with that.
I think the pipeline again, or the depth chart,
he got passed
up
big time.
It sucks. He was a second-round pick from, was it 2019?
I don't even remember.
18, 19?
But it didn't work out with him. I was very hopeful.
Yep.
But he just couldn't seem to break himself out of the AHL on a permanent basis. So instead, the Sharks pick up, was it Shane Bowers, was it?
Yes, Shane Bowers.
So definitely not a better player, in my opinion, than Thomas Bordeleau, at least not in terms of the ceiling and everything else. I think Bordeleau's ceiling was a little bit higher than what Shane's at now, but Shane has more NHL experience than Bordeleau does.
I think he's brought on more for the AHL experience.
Sure.
Shane, I think he's going to help the Barracuda.
Yeah.
I think Bordeleau still has a path to the NHL on a different team.
Yeah.
He might still be able to make it on another team, whereas I don't think Shane Bowers, I don't think we'll see him get much of the Sharks.
Probably not, no. Especially, I think the Sharks have enough like bottom line players that they can throw in there that they don't need to have a Shane Bowers in there. So I think everybody, and especially folks in New Jersey, were just like celebrating this one, and I'm like, I mean, it's still kind of a nothing thing. Yeah, hey, I hope that Thomas Bordeleau does it fantastic in New Jersey, makes his way into the NHL and becomes a regular there. That would be great for him. I personally just don't see it anymore, unfortunately. If you couldn't do it on this roster, I don't see it happening.
Probably because Shane Bowers was a former, well, not by New Jersey, but Ottawa, a first-round draft pick. So you expect first-round draft picks to be making, maybe not necessarily an impact at the NHL level, but being a consistent NHLer, and that is not the case here. So I think that's probably why they're excited to move on from him, to get Bordeleau as a second-rounder, an early second-rounder, kind of a late first-rounder, if you will. But he's 2 years younger than Shane Bowers. So a little bit of hope for New Jersey that they'll get something. I mean, they're kind of more of a contending team anyway, and they can use kind of those kind of players to fill in the gaps in their lineups because they don't have enough money to pay for a bigger name player.
Yeah. I do like the sentiment that it's doing right by the player, right? This isn't the first time we've seen Mike Greer do something like this. So going back to some of the free agent stuff, when you look at the GM and what the GM has done and what the organization has done for other for other players, and doing right by them, I think a lot of players would look at the Vegas Golden Knights and the way that they just don't seem to care.
Yeah.
Right? They don't care. They traded, who was it again? Dadonov? They traded Dadonov, and he had a no trade clause or whatever it was. Like, you can't trade me, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. There's no deal, right? But yeah, there's just no loyalty there. And I think for the Sharks as an organization, they've shown that they'll do right by the player. And I do hope that is something that a lot of other free agents see, and it becomes just that much more enticing, on top of having good young players. Again, being the team of the 2030s, I think that's another thing that can help entice some free agents to come over. So good on Greer for doing right by Thomas Bordeleau here, getting him off of a roster he was not going to, or I'm sorry, getting him out of the AHL essentially on a roster he wasn't going to make with the Sharks, and giving him an opportunity somewhere else. So good on him for doing that. I don't know enough about Shane Bowers really to say if this is going to be good for the Barracuda or not, but
depth.
Yeah,
it's a depth option with a player who has NHL experience.
Yeah.
I'm talking about for the Barracuda, right?
Right.
A little bit older for those guys because the Barracuda is going to be very young.
Absolutely.
More prospects coming in. So having a professional that's been through it, kind of like, I don't want to say failed because he didn't make the NHL. He played the NHL, but he's still working his way and trying to get to the NHL. But he can help those players develop and go. So
can share his experience with the hardships and whatnot, having made it and getting pulled back down and what all that's all about. So. I'm sure in terms of character and locker room and that kind of thing, it's a good one for the Barracuda. So there you go. Michael said, "Well said, Paul." I don't get comments like that very often. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you for saying that out loud. Sort of. Yeah, just a little bit. Hold on, the hat's getting tighter. Let me fix this. By the way,
we just stuck.
if you do buy the hat, it does have the little snapback thing, so you can change it in case your ego grows like me. So we have another thing here to talk about, Aaron, very briefly. William Eklund.
Yes.
Well, no, it's not him. William Eklund.
He signed his extension.
Yeah.
And this is fantastic. So it doesn't even kick in this season. It kicks in the following season, but it kickstarts the payments out to the core players, right? So he's probably the very first one here that's going to get Mike Greer money, if you will.
Yeah.
So this is not a contract coming from previous administration. Even though Eklund was drafted by Doug Wilson Jr., he kind of fell into his lap. But we have a J Fresh card for you here. Oof. Look at this compared to the other ones we're looking at. William Eklund, 68% WAR, or projected WAR, and his defense is stellar. I think he's a kind of underrated, if you will, for a forward.
I feel like they've possessed the puck so much when he's on the ice.
He's also a very good penalty killer for the team. So he's done very well in the penalty killing, also getting a couple shorthanded chances and goals. So William Eklund with the future is very bright for him in San Jose. Very excited that this was done. The deal was only for 3 years, $5.6 million. People are kind of like, what? 4 years? What am I looking at?
It says cap 5.6 by 4.
Oh, that must have been a typo by me. Sorry, 4 years.
There you go.
He will still, I believe he's still a restricted free agent by the time this is over. But the reason for that, they didn't sign like the max 8-year deal, which everyone's going to want to see with all of these core guys. I'm sure that's probably on his agent too, saying, the cap's going up $5 million a year. If you pigeonhole yourself in at, let's say, $7 million for 8 years, you're putting a lot of money on the table, leaving a lot of money on the table.
Right.
So you're going to want to get these smaller kind of bridge deals so that you can improve on your stats, and then you're going to get an even bigger payday in 4 years from now, 5 years from now, I guess.
And the 8-year contract is going away after next year's.
Correct.
For the CBA, right?
Right.
So the maximum that a team will be able to sign a player for is 7, unless it's a free agent. Right now, that is 7. That will go down to 6 as well. So this is kind of their last opportunity here to go out and get those 8-year contracts, and yet we see here that the talks between Greer and Eklund has got it to just a 4-year contract. So it's kind of interesting, though, that wasn't on the table for him, was to go for that full year. I mean, maybe it was, but I don't know. But I mean, interesting that it ended up this way.
Right.
Because again, that opportunity to go that long is going to be gone.
Yeah. We do have another J Fresh card here to give you a little bit more stat, or look at William Eklund stats. Oof. His even strength defensive WAR. There is almost nobody better than him on the team. They do not win without him on the ice. So they are a much worse team when Eklund is out of the lineup, if he ever does miss. This is interesting, though. The high danger, shots off of high danger passes, 86%. Where's the other one? High danger passes is 98%.
Yeah.
This guy he's a playmaker.
And I'll tell you what 98% of those passes look like.
Yes.
It's him cruising behind the net and then flipping it before he goes all the way around.
Yes. Zone exits are up there. Just a lot of good stuff here by Eklund. So it's good to see his game is really, really just taken off since he first became a Shark, and continually seeing the improvement and consistency. I think last year for me, he was the most consistent Shark out of everyone, at least on offense, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I think I'm very happy about this. Very happy that Eklund's going to be around for a while. And he's going to be one of the future leaders of this team.
Absolutely. I love this guy. I love what he brings. I love his skill set. I love his hustle. I love everything about this player. There's really nothing I don't like about William Eklund other than the fact that we don't have his brother. So beyond that, just more than happy with the guy.
Still bitter.
I will be bitter until he's on our roster. Aaron, for the next...
Get on with it.
No, I will not.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Yes. Get on with it.
Fine, I'll get on with it then.
Get on with it.
Of all the flavors, you choose salty.
I do. Anyway, are they going to be adding more players this summer? That was a question for Mike Greer, and we do have a clip for this one.
We do. So Mike Greer was asked the question, are you going to be adding anybody? Because I guess the rumors of top 6, top 9, whatever. So here's what Mike Greer had to say in his own words after the prospect game.
We'll kind of just keep our eyes open, I think. We probably, to his question, we could probably use, a top 9 winger if something like that comes available. But if not, then, we're more than happy to kind of let it play out and see what happens the rest of the summer and then see where the kids are when camp starts.
To me, that was a statement to the league. I'm sure he's in negotiations with other GMs, going back and forth on trades and stuff. And I think the price is too high for him. And so he's going to be like, you know what? We don't have to make a move. And we could just wait until the kids, training camp and see how they come along. Because I'm sure other GMs who are in, cap hell are needing to make a move, and he doesn't have to make a move. So I think that was a little dig, I think, out there publicly.
I'm not going to be the one to call you.
Yes.
You're going to be calling me if you want to make a deal here, right? That's what I think he's saying there. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. I'm in agreement here. I think that they are going to go out and get a top 6. He says top 6. I think
he said top 9.
I'm sorry, top 9.
Yeah.
But I think it is going to be top 6 somewhere.
I don't think he wanted to. He probably didn't want to say top 6 because that kind of really limits, narrows down rumors in a way.
You could have just said a skill forward or something, though.
Yeah, but he's whatever. I mean, what if he doesn't get one then?
Yeah.
Then people are gonna be like, why didn't you get one? So he kind of plays it loose.
But I like it. He says, we'll just, keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
Whatever. He's so nonchalant about it. He's just like, maybe his question, we'll try to get some guys or whatever and keep our eyes open. And, just super chill. Just kind of doing that, whatever. Anyway, yes, I think that they do. I would love to see Roslovic, I think, would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I would really, really like to see some goofy, mostly player package to go and get a bigger name, like that Jason Robertson would be off the charts. Incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be similar to Joe Thornton type trade.
Right. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think we have the assets that we want to give up to go and get them, right? Or to get him.
That would be a first-round pick for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think
Sharks don't want to give up a top 10 pick.
I really don't think so, but they're not going to have a top 10 pick. They're going to have a 16 pick. Or 17.
Still in a very deep
17 pick.
Upcoming deep draft next season.
Yeah.
That's worth more.
In any case. Okay, so anything else you want to say about
beat off walls.
No.
Bringing in a forward, unloading at least 2 defensemen, that's my guess. Okay?
Yes. All right. And making room for Dickinson or a young guy to come up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to guess Thrun and Ferraro are out, and then there's going to be a probably second line-ish winger coming in. That's my guess. That's what I'm saying. By the way, we tend to do this every year, but kind of sporadically throughout episodes in the beginning of the season. We have predictions of what we think is going to happen or what we think where they're going to end up, how many points they're going to get, who's going to lead in scoring, blah, blah, blah. Right? We haven't prepared that for this episode, but I think we need to do just an episode that is nothing but that. We don't talk about anything else. We're just giving our predictions. Ooh. That's it. And then at the end of the season, we can go back. It's easier for us instead of having to find everything forever, searching through videos.
We usually do the predictions the week before the season starts.
Yeah.
The last show before the season starts.
I think it just needs to be its own thing, its own animal. We'll just do prediction show.
We also still have hockey cards.
We do have hockey cards, yeah. By the way,
which is going to be its own show.
If you've not seen this, sorry if I knocked the mic there. If you've not seen it, so Aaron bought these with his own money, actually with Fin Factor money. So if you guys could help us with more super chats, that would be great. No, he bought this these packs of cards, and I guess at some point we're gonna have a top-down camera or something like that.
We'll do a show of
we'll do a show of us opening a really tiny intern. Yeah, there you go, holding the camera overhead, suspended by bungee cords. Anyway, so that's the idea, is that we'll open those up and kind of show those off to you guys. And if we get something cool, maybe we'll figure out how to raffle it off, or I don't know. You bought the cards, you do what you want with them.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll figure it out. Anyway, it should be fun. But regardless, I think we need to do a prediction.
Potentially fun.
Yeah, it might not be any fun at all, and we apologize in advance. Okay. Last thing here, I guess, is the whole fantasy hockey thing. Did you want to say? Because I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Sorry. We do have an open spot, so we run a fantasy league. You can see the trophy is up here at the top of the TV.
Wow.
Whoa, it's
in
so
all
shiny.
Its glory.
It's so shiny. It's a Stanley Cup replica, and I hand stamped the winner's name on it. So there are actually 3 names on it as going into the 4th season. Okay. Graham Montgomery, friend of the show, has won it twice. He won it last year, and he won it the first year. And in between the years, he was in dead last. So it's a keeper league.
Yeah.
He sold all of his assets. And then after he won it, sold all of his assets to set up last year. So he's in it for the long game. He's like Mike Greer, right? Playing chess while everyone's playing checkers. So I fully expect him to be in last place this upcoming season. But we do have an open spot. There's a team that is available if you're interested, if you would like to join. We play through Fantrax. It's a $50 buy-in. And you can email thefinfactor@gmail.com. Just say fantasy hockey in the subject and let me know, obviously, with your email address if you're interested in playing. And
Taylor says he's in for fantasy. I'd love to play.
Are people outside the U.S. eligible for fantasy? I don't know why you wouldn't be. I mean, we have it's a $50 buy-in, and you put it through Fantrax. So if you can't pay it through Fantrax, because I'm not sure how the international rules work, but there are Canadians that play, so I'm assuming it's okay, but I can't.
Now, this team that got abandoned has a specific player on there that you might want to entice them with.
Sure. So we do contract years. You give out X many years. There's no extensions, so you can't give out more years after you've already assigned it to a player. Connor McDavid is on this team, and he has one more season. So you will get one season with Connor McDavid. Now I'm sure it's going to blow up, and everyone's going to want this team. Thank you very much, Paul. I didn't want to say that.
Trying to generate interest here.
Always selling.
Right. Now, some unfortunate news. There is a husband and wife that are playing. They each have their own team in our league. The wife, Kirsten, we know her as Kiki, has gone through a lot of medical events here and is in some dire need and help, her and Tyler, her husband. So there is a GoFundMe, and I will put this in the description down below so you can click on it if you are willing to help out this family. They are very good people, very good Sharks fans. And I would, they would be forever grateful if you're able to. Oh, Jason just put it in the chat there. So there it is. If you could do anything, they would be forever grateful, and as would I. So thank you very much in advance. And that's it. So if you want to join Fantasy Hockey, email us, and I'll get you in on that, and it'll be fun.
There you go.
It's also a very active group. So if you ever played fantasy anything, hockey, any sports, and you get like 4 or 5 GMs that don't respond, this is not that league. This league is crazy. It's very competitive, and there's a chat room in there that is very active, which is great. It's a lot of Sharks fans, and we just constantly. There's a lot of regulars actually. Some of them are in the chat right now. So it's a good time. So if you'd like to join, send us an email. Paul doesn't want to join because he's scared.
No, I'm not scared. Fantasy's not really my thing. That's
because he's scared. He's scared he's gonna lose.
Apparently,
he didn't even want McDavid. I was trying to give him the team, and he was like, nah.
Okay, sure.
He didn't know who McDavid was.
I know, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I don't know who Connor McDavid is. Yeah, there you go. Guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Do appreciate you being a part of the show. It's so much more fun having all these folks in here chatting back and forth. Got 50-something people watching. I really appreciate the amount of views and whatnot you guys are pumping our way. It's fantastic having the amount of interactions that we have with you guys. You make it so much fun. Do appreciate that. Last thing here, again, he's put on the screen here, tip us Venmo at the Fin Factor and Super Chat. Please, if you can, also the GoFundMe for Kiki. If you guys could, consider doing that as well, we'd really appreciate you guys helping them out. That probably goes a little bit longer than doing some of the Super Chats. Although we do appreciate John with the Super Chats today. Thank you very much for supporting the show. It's fantastic seeing that out of the community. You guys are awesome.
I forgot, you can also subscribe on YouTube, right? There's a monthly subscription, and you get member. Sorry,
you're fired.
Not subscribe. Member. You could become a member.
He's beer back. Anyway, yes, you can become a member.
I'll let Paul do the talking.
No, I don't do the member stuff. You talk about the member stuff, but you just screw it up and call it subscriptions.
Become a member.
There you go. Great sales pitch, Aaron. I'm sure they're all going to hit that button now. Okay, hey guys, last time I do want to say thank you again. You guys make this a lot of fun. Hopefully you had fun. And if you're not subscribed, do hit that button because we don't know when we're doing the next one here. I think it might be on a Monday, but not this coming Monday.
Well, it might be if there's a trade. Yeah. If there's a big enough trade. We could be on in the next week. We could be next month. We could be who knows when.
Right.
Thanks, Greer, for helping us out.
Guys, that's going to do it for episode 252. For super producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys.
When we see you.
Whenever we see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Day or nay. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help